Wrestling fans, the winter heats up with the return of the Berzerker John Nord. The WWE legend will be back for Wrestling Insider tapings, live episodes, watch-alongs, and cyber autograph signings beginning Sunday, February the 20th. Check out Boston Wrestling's exclusive print that the Berzerker will sign for you live on air. Get ready for 3 big days of the Berzerker John Nord. Head on over to bostonwrestling.com for complete information. Wrestling fans, we warned you this day would come. Unfortunately, we're running out of original episodes of Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty each and every Thursday night at 10 p.m., but we're starting up that Indiegogo. You can help the cause. You can help Marty's show continue each and every week. Nobody does it like Marty. We had an incredible time with him at our 20th anniversary bash, November 13th at Memorial Hall here in Melrose. We want to have the good times keep on rolling, but we can't do it without you. Look for the Indiegogo link in the comment section below or across our website and social media platforms. We have some great perks, great rewards where you can even meet Marty himself. There's nothing like it. Since July of 2020, every week we've brought you the show. We need your help to keep on going. We tell you, without wrestling fans, there is no professional wrestling, and there's no better time to help the cause now. Let's keep Marty rocking each and every Thursday night.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to a bonus installment of MWF Extra, I suppose. Dan Marotti here at MWF Studios, downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, probably looking a little bit more worn and ragged than I usually do with this physically dilapidated body, but when you have news, sometimes it's got to break. Wrestling fans, news is breaking so fast and furious that I'm even having to update the update that I produced for you already. As my good friend Bob Snow used to say, Mama said there'd be days like this, Mama said. I also believe, as my head is ready to explode from the stress that I've been under the past few days, that Paul Bearer in the wrestling heavens said, you know what, enough is enough for Dan Marotti. Some good is going to come your way. As we count down to Boston Wrestling Sports, back to the 80s live event and Legends Fan Fest, Saturday night, April the 16th, from the historic Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. Things have been exploding behind the scenes since Saturday, as I alluded to on my Patreon exclusive Inside the MWF podcast, as the underbelly of professional wrestling reared its ugly head once again, especially with the same individual that is the personification of the underbelly of professional wrestling. I was not about to be hustled by Jake the Snake Roberts again. Boston Wrestling was not going to be hustled by Jake Roberts once again, which I'm sure you'll agree with once you hear the history of the story, if you're unfamiliar with it, after we share some not good, but great news with you in a few moments. We have been, unfortunately, snake-bitten for the 4th time by Jake the Snake Roberts over the weekend, as his agent/daughter, Brandy Woodson, attempted to change the long-standing agreement we had in place with Jake's former agent/daughter, Cody. I guess nowadays, after all, the wrestling agents wanted nothing to do with him. He has his daughters do it. After being snake-bitten 3 previous times by Jake, plus him having to pull out of our November 13th Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks event for the AEW pay-per-view that he didn't even work on because Lance Archer was injured, we were looking forward to having Jake with us on April the 16th. Over the weekend, Brandy claimed that there was a part of the agreement that we had in place that simply wasn't true. And I call BS on that because it isn't true. I asked her to review the original agreement that was made with Cody. One of Jake's good friends, a fellow WWE legend, was able to provide me with Cody's phone number. And while I thought Cody was kind and delightful in my interactions with her, understanding the mayhem that her father has caused for us over the years, over the weekend, she respectfully wanted nothing to do with any of this. And I can't say that I blame her. I don't want anything to do with it either. I wish it wasn't happening. But yet again, here I am. I asked Cody if she could just simply forward Brandy the agreement. I don't know if that happened or not, but ... Brandy texted she was quote-unquote concerned concerned about sending Jake to us for a personal appearance. I was extremely insulted by that. I gave Brandy the name of several of Jake's friends that could vouch for myself and our live events. I gave her the name of AEW and WWE executives that would vouch for myself and our events, as well as the nonprofit Cauliflower Alley Club that would vouch for myself and our events. I know Jake has been to CAC reunions in the past. Surprisingly, quote unquote, she didn't respond to that. Then it was, you know where this one is going. I said if Jake no-showed yet another one of our events, it would become a very public situation. Online, social media, the wrestling media, and so on. She said that she and Jake found that very threatening, and Jake would no longer appear because we wanted Jake to live up to his agreement. They found that threatening. To say it was like a volcano erupting here at MWF Studios on Saturday night when I got that message is an understatement and a half. So as I continue my battle with Brandy in her attempted offers to make the forthcoming story right, as she has made some offers to us that don't include Jake being with us, but she's made some offers, I had to go into crisis mode because John Cena Sr. and myself have been entrusted by President David Reese to put together the best fan fest and live event experience humanly possible for the best folks possible, which are you, the professional wrestling fans. There were phone calls, there were texts, there were emails, there was social media. It was nonstop until 7:07 p.m. last night. I spoke to WWF legends that were booked, that still didn't want to fly, that couldn't commit at that very moment. But I refuse to let you, the great professional wrestling fans, down, if at all possible. When you give us your time, when you purchase your ticket, you deserve the best experience possible. Sometimes there are quote-unquote superstars and legends that lose track of that. But if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be working. They wouldn't be known around the world from television because you wouldn't be watching them. So again, sometimes you deal with the underbelly of wrestling. It can't be avoided because you can't control it. I couldn't go down to Atlanta on April 16th and hold Jake Roberts' hands and skip with him to the airport. But then again, back to 7:07 p.m. last night, quote-unquote, the email came that I think is going to put a huge smile on your face, as it has mine, well beyond having a high-quality replacement for Jake talent-wise. And believe me, as I'll explain in a few moments, I still haven't given up on Jake as far as April 16th goes with some of the people I've spoken with. But yes, 7:07 p.m., Tuesday, February the 8th, 2022, I received an email, or the email with the good news after several back and forths, from the lovely Mrs. Duggan, that America's hero, a man slated to be with us on November 13th, but unfortunately had to postpone due to cancer surgery. Hacksaw Jim Duggan will be with us live at Back to the 80s at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, Saturday night, April the 16th. Oh! Hacksaw is a high-quality human being. He and his wife are class, not the underbelly scum like we've been dealing with Jake. I have to be honest, I didn't even think this was possible that Jim could join us. But I explained the story to Mrs. Duggan. I saw that the Duggans were enjoying Universal Studios, one of the favorite places of myself and John Cena Sr. over the weekend, and I had to give it the Hail Mary pass, baby. And you know what? It worked. The Duggans have gone above and beyond to be with us this spring. It is going to be fantastic. It is going to feel like a celebration instead of having someone there I don't even want to look at. But again, we'll have to see how it works out. WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan joins three-time WWF Tag Team Champions Axe and Smash Demolition, WWE Hall of Famer Tito Santana, the unpredictable Berzerker, and more for a professional wrestling celebration decades in the making. As noted, we'll have at least 8 featured 80s superstars with us on April 16th. We'll be announcing the 6th one this coming Monday, Valentine's night, during WWE Raw from Indianapolis. So now that we have the headline news out of the way, I wanted to share with you the history with Jake Roberts and let you see how you'd react if you'd be willing to open your wallet to be hustled by this man again in 2022. In 2005, we first booked Jake for a live event. All appeared to be fine. He did promotional interviews to hype it up. The Monday prior to the event, Jake called sounding like a child hiding under the blankets, saying that he needed Richard Rios to come with him to Boston Saturday because Judy was going to fly up to Boston to drug him. Now, those names mean about as much to you as they did to me on that day. But Jake was panicked. I looked at the airline prices and explained to Jake that 5 days before departure, it was an expensive plane ticket. But he said, buy the ticket for Rios and take it out of his pay. That is what I did. I spoke with Richard the night before we were set to leave, as Jake was staying with him. Seemed like a nice guy. The following morning, myself and Commissioner Von Johnson went to Logan Airport to pick them up, and nothing. They weren't on the flight. They wouldn't answer the phone. When I later spoke to Richard after the event, he said Jake simply vanished the night before the event, late Friday night. History note, that event in question was the night that both John Cena Sr. and Fergal Devitt, now known as Finn Balor, debuted for us. Fast forward to 2009, I believe we were working with the troops and their families on a live event. They were eager to have Jake with us. They really wanted him, despite the 2005 incident. This was during one of those times when Jake appeared to be doing good. I interacted with a very, very bizarre woman from Florida that I think he was living with. I'm not sure if they were friends or in a relationship. Things were looking good for this appearance, too, until Jake had his incident in Cleveland when he got drunk and whipped out his penis in front of the fans, redefining what the fans thought of Damien. The woman from Florida canceled that appearance. So yet again, we had to let the fans down and go into rebook mode. Fast forward to 2013, after Jake did some tremendous work with Diamond Dallas Page that led to him going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I heard from mutual friends that Jake was doing fantastic and he would be worth pursuing. So, where I felt like he had a lot to offer, I knew the fans would like to see him. Despite my own personal feelings, I contacted the accountability crib and spoke with a gentleman named Marlon Ransom, who understood that Jake decimated 2 of our live events previously, along with the 3 airline tickets that got flushed down the toilet. We worked out a deal and booked Jake for our 12th anniversary event. Well, somewhere in there, Marlon canceled on Jake's behalf. As we later learned, Jake lined up multiple bookings in the tri-state area, I believe, so we figured, you know what? Why not piss on these people in Boston for the 3rd time, with now 4 airline tickets being flushed down the toilet? Okay. So Jake, he's done well, he hasn't done well, he's gone back, he's gone forth. That led us to 2019, where we came up with this 80s event concept. Friends in wrestling and the Cauliflower Alley Club said Jake was a quote-unquote new man and would be perfect for the event. If you're asking why we'd gamble on this guy for the 4th time without being complete and utter imbeciles, that's why. Always trying to be optimistic, I looked into the possibility of having Jake with us for what was going to be an April 2020, not April 2022 event, but, I began interacting with Jake's agent/daughter, Cody. She was extremely nice. She understood the damage that her father had done, not once, not twice, but at 3 previous events. Even though the rate was higher than what Marlon had quoted us, I still thought it was a fair enough deal. And Jake then became one of the featured 8 from the first version of our Back to the 80s event. Then coronavirus hit, and the entire world was turned upside down. Venues canceled. We even had one venue we booked in Somerville that closed down completely. Events were allowed, events weren't allowed. It was havoc for everyone for well over a year, especially dealing with what we'll call a delicate city like Melrose and Memorial Hall. We were told Saturday, November the 13th was on. We were ready to rock, we were ready to roll and go back to the 80s. And then AEW moved their pay-per-view from November 6th to November the 13th, the date we were running on due to competition from UFC and boxing on pay-per-view. Then Jim Duggan came down with cancer. We very reluctantly had to change our 80s-themed event slated for November the 13th and flip it to the 90s-themed reunion that we we're actually going to have on April 16th. The original plan was to do the 80s event in November and then the April one, and then the 90s one in April. But we had to flip the script. But we were set to roll with Jake for April 16th. Brandy said he was ready to go unless AEW needed him. AEW has no pay-per-views in April. Advertised to hundreds of fans at our last live event. Advertised in video productions seen by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of fans. Featured in paid advertising seen by hundreds of thousands of fans. Jake the Snake was ready to come to Memorial Hall. On Saturday, I reached out to Brandy to set up Jake's travel, as he was the last of our 8 superstars to have it arranged for, even though they aren't all announced, they are all booked. And she, again, tried to change the terms of the agreement. Jake apparently travels with an oxygen tank now. I didn't even know you could bring those on board, but I guess if you need oxygen, and I'm sorry to hear that he needs it, and I truly mean that. Brandy claimed that we originally agreed to fly Jake first class because of this oxygen tank. I don't know why you need to fly first class if you have an oxygen tank, but it's 110% untrue regardless. We did not agree to fly Jake Roberts first class. In independent wrestling, with the budgets that are worked with, superstars use their frequent flyer miles to upgrade their flights to first class if they so desire. Now, I'm sure there's an exception to every rule. Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Ric Flair, and people of that nature, but not Jake Roberts. With it being an expensive weekend to travel, it would have cost an extra $500 plus to upgrade Jake over an already expensive plane ticket as it was. I absolutely refused to spend an extra nickel on Jake the Snake Roberts because it's a cost we'd have to pass along to you, the wrestling fans. It's not as if Jake gives a rat's ass about the fans, as he's shown with his previous no-shows and flushing the plane tickets down the toilet. You know, I truly believe Jake could add a lot to the event for the fans, the young athletes in the locker room. Maybe Brandy was truly looking out for her father, but I think considering the history, as I suggested to her, Jake could have used his own frequent flyer miles, or, considering how many knife wounds he left in our back, he could have opened his own damn wallet to upgrade his seat. As noted earlier, Brandy said she was concerned about sending Jake to the event, then flat out canceled the appearance, even with all of the names I gave her to contact if she had any reservations whatsoever. And I think that's a pretty lousy thing, considering all of the supposed life changes that Jake has made for the better. She stood her ground. I am standing mine. I reached out to DDP in the accountability crib to see if they could help Jake show some, accountability. I reached out to AEW, as I'm sure with all the good that organization does to put into the professional wrestling industry, they'd like to see one of their own contracted talents do the right thing by hardworking people that are only looking to give fans the best experience possible. So wrestling fans, there is your hero, Jake the Snake Roberts. The original agreement we had with Jake still stands. If AEW or DDP can talk him into it, or common sense can take over, I'm sure there are fans that would still enjoy having him with us April 16th, but I have to state, as of this recording, I do not believe that will happen, as he certainly has only lived up to his nickname over the years with us. Is there ever any accountability with Jake? All I hear are excuses. What about positive solutions? What about solutions, not excuses? What about a man doing the right thing? If you don't agree with Jake's actions, send him a tweet at Jake Snake DDT. Wrestling. You guys wonder why I talk of no sleep and stress from this complicated, difficult, CRPS-filled life. There you have it. But again, folks, with the negativity behind us, WWE Hall of Famer and American hero Hacksaw Jim Duggan headlines our Back to the 80s live event and Legends Fan Fest Saturday, April the 16th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Mass., along with the 3-time WWE Tag Team Champions Axe and Smash Demolition, WWE Hall of Famer Tito Santana, the Wild Berzerker, and at least 3 more 80s stars, including one we'll be announcing this Valentine's Monday night during Raw. The event includes a VIP exclusive Q&A session, a VIP exclusive 80s group photo with all of the featured superstars, and you in one photo. You talk about social media credibility. There will be autographs. There'll be individual pose photo opportunities. There's going to be a Legends celebration during the wrestling event itself as the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow light up the ring like it's Times Square on New Year's Eve. Don't delay. Get the best seats in the house and save a few bucks at the same time at bostonwrestling.com. Folks, I apologize for this, but with the bad comes the good. I'm really excited to have Hacksaw Jim Duggan with us. We'll all see you live at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Mass, Saturday, April the 16th.
Hi, this is Phil DeCesare. Thank you for enjoying tonight's Wrestling Insiders. Get early full-screen ad-free access to all our weeknight Wrestling Insider episodes while helping keep wrestling legends working by joining the Boston Wrestling Patreon family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. You can directly help us bring you more great historical wrestling content 7 days a week to enjoy for years to come.